All right, spring has sprung in South Louisiana, and you can tell that by the trout catches in recent weeks. Speckled trout fishing was really tough throughout the winter, but it's gotten great here in the last few weeks since the temperatures have warmed up. The spawn hasn't begun yet, so some really nice sized speckled trout are still in inside waters, very accessible to most anglers. And we've definitely been catching them. My son Joel and I had a really good trip just a few days ago to the Lake Pontchartrain Trestle, and we caught some beautiful speckled trout. Now, you know, if you watch the channel enough, that I release most of my big trout. Anything over about 18 inches gets to swim again. But I do keep some of those bigger 16 to 18 inch trout because I love to do this particular recipe with them. Wait until you see this. It is probably the best dish that I make. Check this out. Here's some ingredients that you need to make this. Bell pepper, gotta have one of these. Medium-sized onion, whole stick of butter, Crystal hot sauce, go with your favorite. My favorite's Crystal. Worcestershire sauce, seasoned breadcrumbs, seafood seasoning. We really like this Louisiana fish fry seasoning. Kosher salt, you can use table salt if you don't have this, but this is definitely better. And some fresh cracked black pepper. And you also need a few tools that'll come in handy. Kitchen shears. You don't absolutely need these, but you kind of almost do. These will make this job a lot easier. You need a good fillet knife. This is a Bubba blade. And then just a knife for chopping vegetables. All right, at the end of that trip, you know I normally fillet all my speckled trout, but when I'm doing this dish on these bigger fish, this is what I love to do. I just cut off the head, gut the fish, and then when I get home, I scale it. Now I scale my fish with a spoon. Some people like a butter knife, other people use a wire brush, whatever. Speckled trout scale really, really easily. The scales are small and they're very soft, so it's not like scaling a redfish or anything like that. You have a much easier time with these. All right, so as you can see, we still have the bloodline from the fish, but it's pretty clean, the gut cavity. What the first thing you want to do is come to the thick part of the fish and cut off these kind of belly wings. You want to get rid of those. Just go right along the thick part of the fish. And these kitchen shears will cut right through these speckled trout belly bones, no problem, comes right off. Do it to the other side. And that's waste, you can just discard it. All right, that leaves us with this. You can see we still have a little bit of bloodline in here, but we're gonna get rid of that in just a little bit. First thing we do, we cut through these belly bones just on top of the spine. Just wanna be right snugged up against the top of that spine. And you cut all the way through to the dorsal fin, but not through it. Don't poke through that skin if you can avoid it. Just kind of feather through it. Once you get the bulk of the fillet off, then you can kind of clean up around that dorsal fin area. And cut this all the way through to the top of the fish. Flip your trout over and do the same thing on the other side. All right, now we're left with just our spine and our bones heading to our dorsal fin. So we gotta remove that. I like to start it with the knife, being careful again not to cut through that skin. It's kind of a fine line. Just cut right along here. Get it out, and then come in with your kitchen shears. Do the same thing, right all down that dorsal fin, all the way down to the tail. Getting as close to that skin as possible without actually cutting the skin. Nope, almost cut a little bit of the skin there, but that's okay. And then you just cut right through the spine. And that's waste. You wanna make some fish stock? That makes some really good fish stock. We're gonna go ahead and throw it away. Next, we got a little bit of cleanup here with this bloodline. Bones here we wanna cut out. Also waste. And as you can see, we've got a perfect trout, double fillet, whole fish, ready for stuffing. All right, next step is to chop up our vegetables. Pretty easy to do. I just have a piece of this bell pepper because I don't like overpowering bell pepper flavor, but it's definitely gotta be in there. So I started with a whole bell pepper. What I'll do with the rest of this is cut it up and freeze it. Bell pepper freezes really well. We got this, we also have our onion. I'm gonna chop those really quickly. total of 4 of these whole speckled trout, boneless speckled trout, of course, that I'm gonna stuff. So I'm probably gonna use a little bit more than just 1 stick of butter. I know it sounds like a lot, but you really want a lot of butter. You really want moist stuffing. You don't want it dry. The speckled trout will put off some juices to kind of add a little bit of moistness to it, but the butter definitely helps. Just happen to have about a half a stick in the fridge. This will work well. This is my favorite spoon. I always cook with it. Literally, when I was just a 5- and 6-year-old boy, my maternal grandfather cooked with this spoon. He was an excellent, excellent cook. And he's also who introduced me to fishing. So one of my heroes of my life, probably the hero of my life. So I always use this spoon. All right, we're gonna dump our veggies in. Now you really want to let these get soft. You don't want to be eating the stuffing and bite into a crunchy onion or a crunchy bell pepper. It takes about 10, maybe even 15 minutes for these to get soft. Be patient, take the time that it takes to soften them up. All right, our veggies have gotten good and soft. Now we're gonna turn our fire off and we're gonna add our Worcestershire sauce, so hard to say, and also our hot sauce. Shake your Worcestershire, very important. Again, I don't ever measure anything. If you watch the channel, you know that. Just kind of enough that it feels right. Same thing with the hot sauce. I don't like food very spicy, so I just add a few drops. Crystal's not all that hot anyway. And then our seafood seasoning. You do want to be a little more careful with this. You don't want to just dump it, so I typically like to dump it in my hand and get what I think is an appropriate amount. It's about probably a tablespoon, I guess. And mix all that up. All right, let me tell you, that combination is incredible. It already smells so good in here. I cannot wait to eat this. But I gotta be a little bit patient. Next up is the breadcrumbs. And these I just sprinkle in until I get the right consistency. I got a fair amount of butter in there, so I'm gonna need a good amount of breadcrumbs. All right, that's close to right, but it is still a little bit loose, so I'm gonna add some more breadcrumbs. All right, at this stage, I like to turn the oven on. We're gonna set it at 350. We're gonna cook these about 30 minutes. All right, while that's preheating, we'll go ahead and start stuffing our speckled trout. All right, I got 4 trouts. I'm gonna go with 2 glass pans. Definitely will fit it in these. Got some cooking spray. We'll spray that on the bottom so our fish doesn't stick. All right, at this point, I like to use some paper towels to kind of dry each of the fish. You don't have to be crazy about it, but you just don't want a whole bunch of standing water on the fish. Be sure to dry them inside and out. Just remove any excess water. That one's ready. All right, 4 speckled trout ready for stuffing. All right, we're gonna go ahead and stuff them. First thing we do, open each trout. And the stuffing is still really, really warm. Actually, it's hot. Just gonna use a spoon and spoon a little bit into each. Try and get them as even as possible. All right, you wanna scrape that pan clean. You don't wanna waste a single drop of that stuffing. All right, now we're gonna close them up and seal them with some toothpicks. It's okay if the stuffing kind of spills out a little bit. It's actually better for presentation. All right, looking at these, they really don't even need toothpicks. We don't have them overloaded with stuffing. If you put a whole lot, you might want to seal them, but these are gonna be fine without it. Our oven's ready. We're gonna be feasting in about 30 minutes. But we've got one more step. Now when I make this dish, sometimes I eat the skin, sometimes I don't. It just really kind of depends on how it comes out. Some people are really big fish skin eaters. Generally I'm not, but if you are, you like eating fish skin, you definitely want to put some type of oil on the top of this. Really, the best thing to do is to baste it with some butter. But we put so much butter in here, you might be a little squeamish about that, so we're just gonna go with some cooking spray. I'll do that on 2 of them, and 2 of them I'll just leave without any oil on top. We just spray the top. We'll coat them with a little bit of kosher salt. And then some fresh cracked black pepper. All right, now they go in the oven. We'll set the timer for 30 minutes. It's gonna go like that for you. All right, that sound means they're ready. Oh, they look absolutely perfect. Perfect. All right, now all we gotta do is serve them. And Joel's been manning the camera, but he's always my taste tester. You know that if you've seen previous catching cooks. Good thing about Joel is he's unfailingly honest, and I like that because he tells me when something is good, and I can trust him because I know he'll tell me if something sucks. But these are not gonna suck. All right, now the moment of truth. Let's see what Joel thinks.
Man, that's so good. That stuffing is incredible. You've got to make this dish.
I knew it would be. All right, hopefully you enjoyed the video and got something out of it. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Also subscribe to the Marsh Man channel on YouTube. And don't forget to hit the notification bell so you're notified whenever we post a new video. And until next time, if we don't see you in the marsh or in my kitchen, we'll see you right here on Marsh Man.